Good morning and welcome. This morning, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever been in a car with a backseat driver? You know, the person who kind of tells you everything to do when you're driving, even though you've been driving for a long time. Like, don't forget you have to turn up ahead, and why are you going that way? You're driving too fast. Well, some brilliant person came up with a backseat driver's license. I couldn't believe it when I found it, but here it is. Can you see this? I love that it says State of Nervousness and Bureau of Nuisances. And it's signed by GMI Nervous. Now, when I was a teenager, my brother would take me different places and he said, you need to learn to keep your mouth shut. Otherwise you can walk. Well, I did learn to keep my mouth shut with him. I still had some learning to do. How about you? Have you ever been considered guilty of being a backseat driver? You know, we all laugh at this, but what's the root of being a backseat driver? It's wanting to have control. And the root of control, one of the roots of control, is fear. Fear of being out of control, fear of appearing out of control, fear of looking stupid in front of others, fear that if I don't do it, it won't get done right. How many times have you heard that, or have you been guilty of saying that? I know I have. But once again, we're dealing with fear raising its ugly head. The problem is, for all of us, is that control is an illusion. Tim Carey, PhD, says in an article in Psychology Today, we are all control freaks. Now, I didn't like that when I read it, but it's really true. And in that article, he talks about the difference between the bossies and our besties. We like to have control sometimes with our friends, and some of our best friends, their control actually helps us. It points out things in us that we need, but the bossy ones are the control freaks. So, you know, I've never been issued this backseat license, but I should probably ask my husband if I need one, because I think I do. But I'm learning to lessen my grip on control and focus more on relationships. One way to recover from your control freakiness is to identify the root. Why are you seeking control? And like we talked about, it's usually an indicator of feeling out of control in some area of your life. Now, if you're a parent, or even think about yourself, when you run a fever, fever isn't the illness. It's an indicator that something else is going on, something else is wrong. So you can treat the fever and you're going to feel better, but if you don't treat the root cause, the illness, you're still going to have that fever and it's going to probably get worse. Well, it's the same thing with control. What is the fear? What is the issue that you and I need to look at and to eradicate in order to give up the control? Hey, hi Sarah, hi Dave. Thanks for joining me. To recover from that, we have to dig deep. And digging deep is hard. It hurts. It means that we have to identify something in us that makes us uncomfortable. That takes a lot of work. And sometimes you need to go to your spouse or a really close trusted friend. Sometimes you need to talk with a professional coach. You may even need to see a counselor or perhaps the pastor at your church. That's cool. That's good. Those are good things to do. We all need help in learning how to overcome our control issues. Ian Gardner, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly, it's a beautiful way that it's spelled, in his book, Humbly Submitting to Change, says, to be comforted by God is a promise that few of us ever receive because we're consumed with controlling our situations to appear being vulnerable. Boy, I relate to that. I don't know if you can, but God is the one who is ultimately in control of our lives. And if we trust him, then we can allow him to have that control. Now, if you think that control is your issue, I already see that Dave says that he sees that. If you think that you know that you struggle with perhaps some control freakiness in some area of your life, I'd like you to write in the comments, control freak. Go ahead, do it. But then there's a quiz. Did you know that you can actually take a quiz? It may not be completely scientific, but there's actually a quiz on Psychology Today that you can take that gives you a control freak score. I'm going to take this. I'm going to pop this link in the comment section here. And I'm actually going to take this quiz today. And I'm going to post my score here on Facebook tomorrow. So if you think you're a control freak, I'd like you to put in the comments control freak, and then I'd like you to take the quiz. And if you're brave enough, go ahead and put your score in as well after you've taken that quiz. It's just a 10-question quiz to take you, not even a couple of minutes to take, but here's the deal. I'm going to be honest, and I want you to be honest about taking it. The maximum score you could get to be a control freak is 50. So let's see what you get. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you deal with the control freakiness in your life. So go ahead and leave a comment. And then for more recovery tips, I'd love you to go over and check out my blog at KirstenDSamuel.com. That's my website. I post there weekly. I'd love to have you join us there. And if you'd like to receive notifications for when the new blogs are posted and other tips that I send out, go ahead and sign up to receive those notifications. And when you do, you're going to get a free gift. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this has at least prompted some thoughts. Hey, Sharon, glad that you're here. Becky, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you'll join me next week at this time, and we'll talk about another issue related to some of the areas in our lives that we need to overcome. Have a great Friday, a wonderful weekend, and if you are a football fan, go ahead and enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday. I'll talk to you next week.